Okay, hello. Game number 2. It's the round of 8. There's 4 matches in total to play out today, guys. And we already saw Gumiho take the first one, as he'll be one of the first players into the semifinals, which will all play out tomorrow, of course. We'll cover the schedule, we'll cover the dates after the cast today, but I also want to remind you all that the round of 8 in general has awarded $50 to every single player who's playing today. And of course, they're playing for a little bit more than that as they continue advancing through the bracket. So spawning here in the top right corner of the map, playing for MVP, looking for that first place. It's going to be the red Zerg player, Losira.
Bottom left as the blue Zerg. It's Ace or Nerchio.
Okay. I really like the way Nerchio's game started off last time. Did it get him like massively far ahead? No, not really. There wasn't a big third above his opponent. There wasn't like a 40 drone lead, but I do like that he was able to put on the aggression in such a way that he was actually able to tangle with someone like Losira. That's a situation where I think for most players you would call it risky, you would call it kind of desperate, but for Nerchio, it's his comfort zone. So that's why we got to see him get so much damage done. The problem is, with most CVZs as well, it was a lot of army for army and, you know, lings for queens. Not a lot of actual drones died.
Yeah, it's true. I did like how they played out that game, and it was just a case of maybe, you know, each time that there was an attack, he didn't quite get what he needed, but it was really close to doing it, so it was very back and forth. Losira always looked like he was on the ropes until that last 2 minutes, but both players going for a pool first. I think in both games, they're not going to risk losing to something silly.
Yeah, I like this too. There is no loser's bracket or anything as such. You don't want to risk a 10-bull baneling being the end of your life. You know, you can be ready to play a lot of hard games, but it's like, oops, surprise, you're dead. One thing I do want to address, though, at the live time of the cast, guys, coming up a little bit past 7 right now, we have quite a bit of an acceleration, I suppose, in the schedule at this point. These guys have almost played out majority of their series here, and they weren't even scheduled to have started yet. So, like I said, there's some confusion as to whether Parting can play, because Intense isn't awake, or Solar and Crank are going to be available, or whatever the case may be. We'll try and find something to fill the downtime if there is downtime, but of course, as always with Base Rate TV tournaments, we want to provide more content and less commercials. So, hopefully we can find out something that'll work out for you guys, as I've still been trying to address that behind the scenes. But at any rate, Nerchio and Losira taking a bit of a tango here at the middle of the map. Nerchio kind of winning this Ling fight, as weird as that is to analyze. But because of this, Losira doesn't get to run across the map and get that free scout anymore. Doesn't get to go up towards the main. And keep in mind, it was last game, you got to see everything without consequence.
Again, Losira with the later gas. Didn't really play a big part. He's look at the baling nest like pretty much perfectly on time to when Nerchio started being aggressive, and I wondered if Nerchio's going to try it again. It looks like it. He throws down his own baling nest.
I do hope he's I guess like with the Lings, if they're low enough on health, the Queen can snipe them off before they get up there, but denying this information would be kind of a big deal. So this Queen sitting here should be closer to the ramp if he gets really worried about this, but playing sort of I don't know, grab ass with the Lings right now, constantly chasing him around the map, it's not going to be an issue, I don't think.
This year actually dedicating to a spine crawler, something a little bit different than last game. Last game it was really just queens and a wall that helped out. But Overgrowth, a little bit of a faster map to get them from natural to natural. King Sejong is a little bit windy. So if you know, seeing the Lings is his first indication as they run across the map, which it is not, as he sees them right now, just bare seconds before speed finishes, then he might be able to have a wall down.
I really like, by the way, that Nerchio did not get complacent about ignoring those 2 Lings at his base. Those could have very easily become banelings and caught him off guard later on in the fight. But yeah, we even have a Spore Core come down just for cost efficiency when it comes to this build cancel. He may actually let this complete too, just because it's got so much health on it. But a lot of the times when he shut down a big baneling all in is just wall off.
Yeah. Nerchio makes 1 baneling. Oh, 2 banelings.
Well, this is a huge, like, he's forced a lot out of Losira in what is a almost desperate defense here. I mean, 3 queens, 3 spine crawlers. Okay, I like the cancels.
Yeah. I think he was watching that minimap very intently, watching the Overlord very intently as well, saying, okay, there's not any Lings on the way, and also I see how many banelings you have, and it's really not that much, because it was really all about, like, does he have 10 banelings or 2 banelings on my doorstep? And I like Losira kind of like called the bluff almost. Like, Nerchio was running behind this entire time. So Losira didn't really overreact. He was kind of droning, you know, hesitantly, but still droning.
Well, what I find a bit funny is Nerchio appears to be going for what I'm guessing is Muta's behind this. Third base on the way too. That's quite nice. But Losira's spore that he made, as weird as that is, may actually come quite quite handy when it comes to the defense here.
I wonder if that's he let it finish on purpose. Maybe it gets an overlord kill in other games. Maybe he knows that Nerchio is just planning on going for a Spire. It did work out last game. Remember, it wasn't like a game where, oh, we definitely shouldn't go Muta again because Losira just had that like on lockdown. Not really. Nerchio like defended the Roach push that came. His Mutas did decent damage, the overlords, and helped out in fights. It was actually a very solid build. Nerchio actually preempting the Roach attack, getting 5 spine crawlers. Well, I guess he's denying the third for so long. That's the only thing Losira should really do.
Well, what I really like is Nerchio did go for some, like with the spine crawlers coming behind. Like you're so worried about a Roach counter attack when you have Mutas. I mean, like it's less usually about Zerglings. It is almost always about the Roaches. By getting about 5 spines down, as long as they don't walk past them, usually you can hold off against 10 to 15 Roaches relatively easily, especially with Mutas coming out. But yeah, that's the problem for Losira, right? Like, still, never got a scout off on that main. No idea this is coming. He sees that third base, and he might think this is a regular macro game, but that's not quite the case, at least. I like this, too. Like, when you open with Mutas and go into Roaches, like, you can either play, like, the Roach game, like, the mid game, like you normally would, or you can eventually use it for that late game transition to Broodlords, which we have seen a couple of players trample off. Bly, especially, teammate of Nerchio, someone who's been very adamant about doing that ZVZ.
Ooh. Okay, use the Spore Crawler. I thought maybe he's gonna try and go into the main, but now I see there's a bunch of Roaches there anyway, so probably would not have worked out. So getting that Spore Crawler is pretty decent. Didn't lose a whole lot for it, and that does obviously cover. Well, I guess before Queen's probably isn't gonna kill it, but the Spine Crawler.
I was really wondering if the Mutas, like, if it was gonna be a timing that the Mutas showed themselves, or if he read the fact that the Spore Crawlers like focus as being like, okay, there's probably Mutas coming. Either way, these will get over here in a pretty nice time. Not gonna be able to pick up that Spore.
Picks off a Creep Tumor, which is it's really important, especially if your defense for the initial part is Queens and even Slow Hydras, really. Stopping them from being super mobile, and you get this deal. Get a cancel on the hatchery.
The problem is, though, there's that Roach attack, and those Spine Crawlers were placed in the main, not here at the third, so Losira probably going to pay Nerchio back as far as the third base damage goes. Going to try and catch some of the drones, too, on the retreat. Nerchio's going to completely pull his back, and Losira, by the way, not being hesitant at all to go Infestors this game. Goes for them quite quickly, actually, as Patrick Alliance has already begun.
Yeah, I feel like last game it was a lot more of a back and forth. There's a lot, harder decisions to make for Losira. As clean as this game has been for him, just not sniping that third too, I'm feeling really great for his position. I mean, Nerchio, this hasn't really done a whole lot to make Losira be uneasy. And a Korean playing his game is always kind of scary.
Yeah, that's true. Nerchio going to... I mean, he did pick up a lot of Roaches with that attack. Is that going to be enough? I don't know. There's still a hell of a lot of Queens here. These will provide a lot of anti-Mutalisk damage, but also a lot of transfuses for the Roaches should the Roach fight come down. So even if Losira is going to be numbers, which he kind of is at the moment, or actually he's not. I read those backwards. But even if he was, like, there's so many transfuses to keep these alive. So Nerchio is going to open this door, but that's kind of all he can do at the moment, like open the door.
Upgrades again in Losira's favor as well, similar to last game. Yeah. I mean, everything just looks really great for him, and I love that he got Burrow again. He might not be using it for like the Roach, Burrow tactics in Nerchio's main. Yeah. Exactly, he's healing up all the Roaches each time that there's an attack, and that does add a lot of health. I mean, they heal very quickly.
Alright, well, Nerchio's still trying to get some free damage where he can, making the best use of these Mutas. Back at home for him, I mean, he took a very different third to replace the one that got picked off. I don't believe Losira actually saw this one, no, so he has no idea that this third's up and running. He may think that he's actually in a pretty far ahead spot. Now, he's still, I would agree with you, like in a, I'd say slightly better position, but that's only for now. Like, as time goes on, Nerchio catches up in the upgrades. We don't see Losira rushing out a Hive or anything quite so crazy. So for Nerchio's sake, like Banelings, Roaches, and Mutalisks, once again, they almost pulled it off last time. Almost. Maybe this time he comes in with better upgrades, doesn't come in at such a big disadvantage, whatever the case may be. I mean, he is going to catch up on upgrades here. Give him 2 minutes or so.
Yeah, 2 minutes is a long time.
But
Losira, Losira hasn't really been the aggressor, so it is very possible that he has those 2 minutes. But Losira, Infestors are on the way, is going to have that better tech. Nerchio is going for the Banelings again, which didn't do a whole lot last game. There's a bit of a... It's a bit of a trick to go for Banelings sometimes. Like, either you explode on all the roaches, even if the Hydras look really big and juicy, and you still get all that splash damage, or you try and go for the Hydras, and you find out that the Zerg player can actually split, and all those Banelings die anyways. It's kind of what happened last game. They didn't do any damage whatsoever because there's just barely a split, but still a split. But it's that choice, like, what do I, use them on?
It's kind of interesting you bring up that Losira wouldn't be the aggressor, because like it kind of makes sense. Like, oh, he thinks he's a base above his opponent. That Nerchio's forced a long distance mine from this third. Like, what's going on here? Is this foreigner falling apart? But no, Nerchio's actually got a pretty sizable army. The difference is, though, he's hitting before those upgrades come in, and I don't know if it's going to be so good. It's just barely a little bit too early, I feel, too. Because it's 2-1 versus 1-0. There's going to be fungal growth. The mulas are getting picked off here pretty quickly. And Nerchio's upgrades, oh, they're just so close for finishing. This is so weird to watch happen, but the roaches might just barely be doing it for the front lines. But, what these Banelings transfuses like crazy going off on all these units, though.
Losira took a really odd engagement there. That is why he's losing this, and actually losing it very one-sidedly. He catches those infestors, which is going to be absolutely terrible for Losira. It isn't quite.
Okay, so I don't think Nerchio's got a killing blow here, but he's caught up in upgrades. That fight, okay, it leveled the playing field in a little bit more than one way, because Nerchio, he didn't have Burrow before, he didn't have Tunneling Claws before, he didn't have +2, he didn't have 1 armor upgrade. Like, there's so much he didn't have going into that fight, and I was really worried that was actually going to be the end of the game, but now he's fighting on even footing against Losira. He's down on Roaches coming up against a defender's advantage. Let's not forget about those infestors getting some energy too. So yeah, there's no killing blow here for Nerchio, but he's in a pretty gosh darn good spot compared to where he was 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. The fourth looking really weird for Nerchio here, as that third was taken on the other side. The fourth is so far away from the other point.
That lack of creep spread in a big way.
Yeah, but again, Losira really hasn't been the guy that's like going around with multiple groups of units. He hasn't actually been attacking that often either. Nerchio's always met him like, midway or just been the aggressor himself. So it looks like Nerchio's going to be able to get away with that gold. And I mean, that's really awesome. If Nerchio can stop Losira from getting his gold and have a gold of his own, he can keep doing these trades. They're usually like, they start to fizzle out after the second time, this Baneling style. That's when there's too much gas, dedicated into it. But with the gold, you can just remax on roaches pretty easily.
See if the Banelings are going to be enough. Lucira's on a pretty heavy roach lead at the moment. And again, Banelings, as cool as they are, it's so hard to run those through the fungal growths. I mean,
yeah.
It only really takes like one good fungal to stop all these Banelings dead in their tracks. Nerchio, of course, doesn't know quite where to be for this fight. He's really spread out at the moment. Like the ultimate concave set up, right? Because, of course, he just doesn't know which direction Lucira is going to come from. A couple of Banelings on hold position, also going to get sniped off by the roaches. Going to come in from behind them with a lot of them. These infestors exposed in the back and do get a nice fungal on some of those Banelings. It won't be able to kill most of them. We'll see if they can actually get those connects off. A couple more running into these roaches. Nerchio hitting from two different sides. High ground advantage as well. The ultimate surround. You see roach corpses going flying to those Banelings, and then the roach count has dwindled. Losira came in here with a big roach lead, but Nerchio takes it now with 34/21. Continues to push this back. Those infestors are going to be so exposed once those roaches go down. A fungal growth comes to buy him some time, but I mean, this is not exactly going to be... Actually, with one or two more fungals, might just be able to do this. I thought these were all dry, but no, he's got a couple more fungals in him.
The bigger deal is that Losira had a big bank behind us, and Nerchio did not. So while Nerchio took an absolutely amazing fight, it was one that he didn't want to take at that time. The gold base really hadn't kicked in. He didn't have a remax potential. So Losira, I mean, it's not big enough for Losira to have, again, that killing blow, but he's actually also not in any trouble. And Nerchio, would have loved to have a big opportunity to really push forward, not just push back.
These infestors have been so cost efficient for what they're worth. They still haven't really died at this point either. Several of those fungal growths going on the Banelings have been kind of moot because, the idea is that you want to get two fungals to completely kill them before they can connect, but even then, by not having those fungals land on the Banelings, they worked on the roaches at the end of that fight. So Nerchio is, and Losira are both kind of even basis, somewhat similar economy, but as you pointed out, with that bigger bank, he was able to max out quicker. However, once again, we find them in a bit of an awkwardly even situation. Both players coming up on 2-2. Actually, no, I take it back. Nerchio already on 2-2. Wow, for those upgrades. So he's going to have a nice little lead in this regard. I don't think it outweighs the infestors, but Still, both players just looking to try and get past one another. Nerchio runs past this big army, hits towards the natural. Got a nice surround.
It's only roaches that, you know, with that carapace upgrade, yes, but it is only roaches, no banelings to help out.
He's got to back away from this. This Vegetarian's going to do so much damage.
That was just, that wasn't the best fight to take for Nerchio.
Oh, but he got to the middle line. He's starting to kill some drones.
Oh, okay.
That bro, though.
It's very useful. So you're recognizing the benefits here. Nerchio has a, you know, big enough bank so that he was able to disengage with a lot of his roaches. Luckily, those fungos weren't absolutely devastating. So he retreats and the game's gonna go on, but now it's at a case where Losira, you know, he didn't have that gold base, and Nerchio did. Well, now he does, and he still has all those infestors that have lived throughout this entire game.
Let's not forget, like 10 workers going down is nothing to ignore either. Look at that worker count right now, 48 for 65. Like Nerchio, he's got to be a little bit worried right now because Losira's got a massively large army because of this. Like 152 army supply is a scary freaking thing. But if he holds on, if he can defend, then he's like his economy is going to carry him through the rest of this game. It's a big if though, and let's not forget he is down 1 in this best of 3. So there's a lot on the line for this next fight.
I don't think that he has good enough tech. There's nothing helping out just the roaches except that one upgrade.
The Concave is looking pretty good to start. The Infestors burrowed in the back. You know, they don't have a ton of energy from that previous engagement, but looks like it might just be enough. Vegetarian's coming down top, the Spine Crawlers. Nerchio's going to fall back once again. 30 roaches over 47. It's not him out of the game yet. Defender's advantage very well may carry through as he's got those upgrades, but not at the gold, and not right now. He's got to fall back. In fact, he's going to just go kill his opponent's gold, trade this out, blow for blow, hatchery for hatchery.
I guess that's the best idea you could have. Hopefully he's able to actually kill it, though. Losira already reinforcing the point. You can't kill it. He caught a lot of drones again. Down at 36, but Losira has no problem remaking those.
That's the thing. Like, this is a situation where the first time you get the drone kills is kind of nice. This time it's a little bit less of a big deal. And for Nerchio's sake, he's fighting at a very, very low army supply compared to that of his opponent. I mean, roaches are... we always talk about snowballing in StarCraft 2, and these are certainly one of those units that could do it.
Losira did lose a couple of those infestors, remaking a few of them. He does have a huge gas bank, so that's actually not that big of a problem. 3 are here. They have 1 fungal each.
47 over 50, or 56 over 47. Losira comes in with a nice roach lead. Still a bit of an awkward way to fight around this hatchery for both players' sake, both defending and getting aggressive here. Nerchio still just trying to mine through this.
Probably just snipe it and get out. The fact that Nerchio have his own infestors is a pretty big deal, not because of the added damage or like the actual big engagements, just because Losira can make moves like that, whereas Nerchio couldn't. You know, sniping a hatchery and getting away, because then you get fungled and in for a bad time. But Nerchio, even if it's not infestors, it's got to be, I feel, just something else. Like, you're past that point where you get to overwhelm your opponent with pure number of roaches. Your opponent's also maxed, and they're also on good upgrades.
Well, you know, when it was only 3 infestors before, this looked a little bit better for Nerchio. He's trying to go for that bailing move again. I don't know if he's going to have enough time to even make those. That's the problem. And should he actually be able to make them, still getting through those infestors, getting through all this damage is so much easier said than done. Yo, army count right now is 59 roaches versus 66. Nerchio, he really needs to get those banelings part of the fight. Fungal growth goes down. It's going to force that fight. Big concave for Nerchio, though, coming into this. But that some of the roaches of Losira are not attacking, but I think it's going to be fine, really. Nerchio, he's posturing maybe less than defense, but trying to find, again, that surround that he got earlier on in the game that really won him a fight maybe he shouldn't have, but Losira was the one that chose the fight this time, and it was a good fight to take. And that overseer on top of the army, like, I can't help but imagine, like, you know, Nerchio does have that spire, right? Like, one corruptor perhaps slowly chipping away at it this entire game. Make sure your opponent doesn't have that overseer, no detection, I don't know, but GG, well played. Ladies and gentlemen, Losira will win the series 2-0. But, I don't know, there was a